Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. It is I. Captain Logan. And joining me as always, or as usual, because it's been a little while, is my wonderful chat moderator and producer, DJ Martinez. DJ and I have been on vacation at, crossed weeks and haven't been able to do shows with each other. So Jason filled in the last couple of shows, and then I've been out the last 2 weeks. So finally, we're back together again. Welcome back, DJ. It's good to see you, buddy.
At long last.
I've missed you, man.
I forgot what your face looks like.
And
I forgot what your voice sounds like.
When it sounds like this, I understand if you could only take so much for so long. I did not forget all those things about you, DJ, though. You haunt my dreams.
Oh, good. Excellent. No, I was just listening to you talk about your toys yesterday. Actually, no, today, because spent a good bit of the day cleaning my house. And it was
that
perfect.
Sounds so weird out of context. Nobody knows about videos I made recently. It's like, why were you listening to Cap ramble on about his toys? Because I did a stream where I rambled on about my toys.
He sends me personal messages, voicemails, really, just about his toys every so often.
Hey, DJ, how you doing? I was just thinking about Marvel Legends. I own, 3 of those. But I was thinking about them and thought I would talk about it with you.
I didn't know.
Didn't pick up, so I'll just talk about the 3 that I have. I think there's a Green Goblin, and I'm trying to remember what else.
Yeah, you never told me that you got jealous when I first started collecting those Spider-Man toys. That was hilarious.
Well, yeah, only in that I had a lot of nostalgia for those card backs. Because, you saw, if you got that far in that video, I have some of the original first run toys from that. Ones. Yeah, I've got that original Spider-Man. I should look that up. Like I said in that video, it's probably worth something, even out of package. But you occasionally will send me pictures of your Marvel. Is it Marvel Legends? Is it Marvel Select?
It's Marvel Legends.
Are those Legends? Whoa! I feel like I was either just in a doctor's office or an elevator. See, the whole room just went down.
That's right. We're living in the 21st century.
Is that your chair or your whole desk?
That's my desk. I got a standing desk.
I can't tell what's happening right now.
Just trying to center my face in the frame. But yeah, I love those Marvel Legends. I actually just bought a box set and it came in the mail today. It was a Prime deal. Only $50 for 5 figures, and they're super obscure Spider-Man villains that no one's going to care about. But look at this, the Human Fly.
Oh wow, it's on your desk even.
Razorback.
Wow, those are obscure.
Everybody know Razorback? Molten Man's a little bit more popular.
Yeah, a little bit.
He's cool. And then we got a Silvermane. Look at that.
Ooh, that's cool. See, I am a little bit jealous of those. That's a collection I would have considered jumping into if I wasn't already buying, Batman 66 and now the Ninja Turtles reproductions and some Power Rangers.
Yeah, you got so many other things that I'm jealous of, so it all evens out.
I would, but with that, we'll get into leading topic and stuff people actually care about here in a second. But with how did this all start from fake finger phone? I don't know. If I got into those, I wouldn't be a completionist like you are with that though. And I'm rarely a completionist with any full-on action figure line except for Batman pops. Even Batman 66. I don't buy everything just because I think some of it is a little superfluous. Do I need to spend $20 a piece on Batman and Robin each with just a respirator on their face and that's all they changed? No, I do not. I already kick myself for all the repaint Batman pops I buy.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a completionist either. There's tons
I thought you were buying everything because you got quite a bit of it.
Well, I don't really care about anything after the 90s. There's a superior Spider-Man figure they just put out. I don't care about it. It's the nostalgic stuff, and then also I've been reading through the Stan Lee stuff with my kids, and we're about to get everything from that. We're about to get to Molten Man, so I wanted to grab this.
No, that's really cool.
Half off on Prime Day, so I was like,
okay, so you buy that exactly the way I do 60s Batman, because 60s Batman has started the McFarlane line. They've started putting out figures from the Batman 66 comic line and not just the TV show. And as much as I like those comics, my collection so far is just screen TV stuff. I can't, besides Two-Face, and I can't decide if I want to muck with it.
Yeah,
being a little bit selective. But anyway, well, let's go into stuff people actually care about. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Hey, DJ, you and I should just
do a
like you should
stream,
actually pick up the phone when I want to talk to you about this stuff.
Yeah,
but
I've
no.
been kicking around doing a video about my Spider-Man collection for the longest. It's just weird. It's weird on my channel, but I'm gonna try to fit it in.
Well, you can do it over here.
Yeah, we could talk about stuff for sure.
If you think it'd be more appropriate over here. I mean, I don't want to steal your viewers, but you're right. Like your channel is mostly just movies, so
yeah, it's like this is an outlier. I'm just gonna talk about. I don't know how they would react. They'd be like, "What? He collects toys? What is this guy?"
There are pros and cons to every kind of like method for YouTubing, right? Like mine's always been a little bit of everything, and I've always felt like but if I was a little bit more streamlined, I probably would continue to build an audience more than I do these days. You're streamlined. You have a real specific kind of audience that comes for your stuff, and mine's real splintered. So like I've had to cater to the audience I've had for 15 years, and if I just did nothing but superhero, you'd have some folks that came in initially that would be like, well, where's the sci-fi stuff, or where's the commentaries, or whatever. So I feel like I still have to do like a little bit of everything to make those folks happy. And also I get bored with only superhero. Like I still, I don't know, it's still 70-80% that, but I love just occasionally doing something else. And then like the name, it doesn't have superhero in the name, and I don't feel like 15 years in I can change the name, and I tattooed it on myself, like. But anyway, well, I don't feel so bad about the rambly preamble this time, because we are back to the 2-hour format, folks. So we're gonna spend however long we need to on lead-in topics tonight. Could be most of the first half, given that I've got 4 different things I want to talk about. We're gonna open with the announcement that we just got. Was it today or yesterday? My days are running together, DJ. That the Russos are in talk to come back and direct Avengers 5 and 6. I think that's almost certainly going to full on happen now. So we'll speculate about that and talk about whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. What we think about that choice, and then I've got a few other things that have just come up in the last couple of days that I want to talk about, and also the new Captain America trailer from last week that I didn't get to talk about because I wasn't back yet from vacation. But as always, if you want to make sure that your opinion is heard, you leave a super chat tonight in any dollar amount that guarantees that we talk about your topic, and we will do lots and lots of Q&A after we're finished with lead-in topics. So don't be bashful, send us questions, and if you don't want to do a donation, if you can't do that, appreciation as always for anybody who can and does do that. You guys are wonderful, really appreciate you, especially in today's difficult economic climate. Thanks for helping us out. And really keeps things chugging here on Geekvolution, and makes it easier for me to justify taking time out of my busy schedule to make lots of streams for you guys. And I'm trying to stream more often even, and I'll get back to that in a second, because I'm going to announce a super chat thing here in a minute, but you can leave a regular question as well, and make sure that you tag DJ Martinez at DJ Martinez, or at Films by Color, or at Molten Man Is Not That Obscure. He'll answer to any of those things, and probably 55 other things. Possibly even like really mean, denigrating things, just because he wants to be noticed.
If that's your thing, I mean, whatever you got to do, I'm here.
Anyway, top super chatter tonight gets to choose a superhero show for me to do a blind commentary stream on sometime at the beginning of next week. I'm going to do a stream probably both Sunday and Monday, and I don't know which night I'll do a watch party, but one of those nights I'm going to do a watch party. Some of this depends on the response that we get for the top 100 DC and Marvel characters, which I'll also bring up here in just a second. We got lots of stuff going on all of a sudden here on the channel as I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm coming out swinging here, DJ.
Well, I'm ready for it. I'll hold the mitts for you.
But yeah, I'll do a couple hours, and I maybe will even let you help me select the episodes. Whoever is the top super chatter tonight, it can be a live action superhero show, it can be an animated show, anything that is plausible to get access to. It could be something I've done before. I'll just do different episodes, or it could be a show I've never seen. It could be a show I just haven't covered. Totally up to you. It just needs to be superhero. That's all I'm going to ask for with that. And like I said, I'll do it Sunday or Monday. If we get enough responses for the top 100 DC and Marvel characters, I'll be doing a stream on Monday, responding to our collective list for the community, which I'm really excited about. DJ, do you know about this? Have you started working on your list yet? Are you gonna do it?
Whoa, put me on the spot.
Are you gonna do it?
I could do Marvel. There's no way I could do DC. I don't even know if I could name 50 DC characters.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that, because the first thing, I'll just give you my sales pitch real quick. So I did for folks that are not aware of this, and it turns out that, or at least people have told me, the community posts don't always go into people's inboxes. So I put out a short today. Hopefully more people saw it that way, and then I'm announcing it again here and on every stream until Sunday. If we get enough responses by Sunday, I'll tackle this next week. If we don't, I'll wait another week and give everybody a little bit more time on it. But where this came from is I did 2 streams responding to Comic Book Resources top 100 DC and Marvel characters, which they did polling their audience. They had just over 1,000 responses. I'm hoping we can get as close to 100 as possible. I'd love to do a 10th of what they did. If that might be a pipe dream, it'd be great if we could get, like half that would probably still give us a pretty good indicative list. But if we can get to 100, I would be really, really happy. That's why I'm asking everybody that can do this to do this. So what you want to do is pick your 50 favorite DC characters. They can be heroes, they can be villains, they can be supporting characters, can be anybody. You can say Aunt May, you can say Alfred Pennyworth, anybody from those companies, and it doesn't have to be in mainline continuity even. You can go to Vertigo characters, you can go to Watchmen characters, you can go to Ultimate Marvel characters, anybody you want to. And this is the sales pitch, DJ. If you can't think of 50, just fill up as many as you can think of and give them the points. So the way it works is your top character, your number 1 character, will get 50 points added to the pot to put it somewhere in our collective list, and your bottom character, your number 50, will get 1 point. So if you only put in 37, then it'll be you can still give points to 37 characters, and so you don't have to do a full 50 if you can't come up with that many. I didn't want to leave out people that are not as diehard fans as some of us. So anyway, I've already done my DC. I'm working on my Marvel. I'm gonna try to get that in tomorrow, and everybody, including me, on the channel that I'm able to get to do this is going to participate as well. So I am influencing it. There is a chance that Resurrection Man will make the top 50. DC list, because I did throw him in there, so there's every possibility, and I'm not going to see it ahead of time. We've got a form that you can fill out. I should have put it in the description for this video, but it's in the community tab, and there's 2 forms. So you fill out one for DC, one for Marvel. It's real simple. You don't have to do a list with an email or anything. You just put your 50 or however many characters you do in that list, and then it gets sent over to Austin, and he's going to compile that for me and give it to me for that stream either next week or the week after. If anybody has questions about that, let me know through DJ tonight, and I can answer them on stream, or you can leave a comment on the video and I'll answer it after that. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew about that. Once again, top super chatter tonight gets to pick a superhero show for me to do a commentary stream on, a couple hours, Sunday or Monday night this coming week. And I've already got one. We'll just go ahead and tackle this really quick from Gooster. Can you go ahead and read the super chat we've got there, DJ, before I get into
Sure.
what do you call it? Lead-in topics?
Let me see. It's been a while. I'll see if I can still do this. It's like when you go back to school after summer vacation, you forget how to write, and your writing is terrible. I remember those days.
I feel that way myself sometimes.
I haven't written, and I write a little bit, but I definitely don't write like
well,
in school.
Writing's more like riding a bike for me, I guess, but I have that with pretty much every other skill.
Like riding bikes. What's the super chat goal for subjecting you and whomever to the Acolyte? Also, Pirates 4 stream when?
Oh yeah, because it says Pirates 3, but I guess. Oh, I see it.
Yeah, he
moving
fixed it in the
forward
comments,
there. Yeah, because we did do 3. I was like, wait a minute, am I a crazy person? Did we not do that? Yeah, I'm not sure when Pirates 4 will happen. We haven't really been prioritizing that because 4 and 5 are, supposed to not be all that great. and I've never seen them, and we did the trilogy, and that's what I really cared about doing. But if there's enough interest, we'll come back and try to do that at some point. As far as the Acolyte goes, I'll put it like this. If I hear from at least a couple other people that want to see me sit through that, and I can't promise you who, if anybody else, is going to join me for that. I'm probably going to start doing more solo streams just so that I can stream a little bit more often and not have to coordinate with people. So I can't promise you that anybody but me would be there for it if it happened, but if I hear from a couple of other people, I will consider doing a super chat goal for that on a different stream, like maybe next week or the week after on the Captain Logan show. We did a super chat goal for Knuckles, and not enough people were biting on that, which is fine by me, because I really didn't want to have to watch that show. But yeah, I almost said that might still happen, but it probably won't, because I don't think we'll ever meet a super chat goal for that.
Yeah, is Disney Plus still alive at this point? I have not heard anything. I guess they just said X-Men, but other than that.
Well, the Acolyte's the most recent thing.
I just mean like that people are loving. Like,
oh yeah, not really. Not
X-Men and
not that I'm aware of. Yeah, no, that was huge for them. And what's so funny about that is if their MCU stuff had been more popular, I mean, I think X-Men 97 would have been a big deal, but it wouldn't have been anything like the gigantic phenomenon it's been, just because the two things you've been hearing with feedback from a lot of people with that show, I don't mean to say that everybody's in love with it, but it's pretty well liked overall. The two big things you're hearing is, wow, I really didn't expect a decades later, follow-up to a 90s kids show to be this good and, as kind of smart and sophisticated as it turned out to be, and just entertaining. The action's really good. And then the second thing you hear is, thank God, finally, something decent from Marvel. Like, you didn't expect it to be that. That's what everybody's been waiting for. Yeah, no, not really. People just want the MCU to be good again. But for a lot of people, it hasn't been lately, so they'll take that. Just something with Marvel characters that they're entertained by.
Yeah, and it can't all be old X-Men fans. Like, there's an audience there's a new audience for that. If What If wasn't terrible, it could have had a better showing.
I think you're absolutely right. I think there is a solid group of fans that started Marvel with the MCU that are starved for that. That threw their hands in the air when that came out and had some good reviews. They're like, well, I kind of miss good Marvel. I guess I'll watch this. Oh wow, that's pretty damn good. Okay. I think that happened, which kind of suggests that the main problem, and I know I've harped on this a lot, and it's a complex issue, like the whole superhero fatigue thing. Like, yes, it's there, but if more stuff had stayed good, and if the DCEU didn't fall apart the way it did, and if people weren't as down on, especially Phase 5, but even Phase 4, as they have been, it wouldn't have, tanked like superheroes as a genre. I feel like this kind of proves, maybe to some degree, that's not the main issue. There are people starved for that stuff. They're just not getting it. So they went to a follow-up to an old cartoon show to get their fix.
And it worked. People love it. Everyone loves it. I'm hearing about it outside of superhero bubble.
Yeah, it's definitely a phenomenon. It's massively popular. And it's nice to see some good animation happening on both sides again. When was the last time that we were talking up animation from both DC and Marvel? When was the last time we talked up anything simultaneously from DC and Marvel? Like, I've always said, when one is good, the other has to be bad. That's, especially in comics, that's how it always goes. Like, this is how I described my twins, who are like polar opposites about things. They can't both be happy at the same time. Selena and Cassandra are DC and Marvel.
That's what you should have named them.
There's
really.
Right, and then when we call them in for dinner, they're amalgam. But anyway, I'm kidding. They can be happy at the same time. But there are days where it feels like they're DC and Marvel. They just can't both be good at the same time. So, anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, yes! Let's get into Avengers 5. So this comes from Screen Rant. I'm going to read down a lot of this article and then discuss. I'm going to try not to interrupt myself too much. Here is an article from Screen Rant that just came up. Was this today? Yesterday. Avengers 5 no longer Kang Dynasty. I called that, by the way.
Crazy.
And I feel like I like I don't want to be a jerk and pat myself on the back too much, but I'm always wrong about stuff. So when I get one right, I get excited about it. There is a question as to whether Kang will still be in that movie to some degree. I'm not sure they can completely excise him at this point, but I really thought that they would change that title, and they are in fact doing that. Avengers 5 no longer Kang Dynasty, new story focus reportedly in development, and so this article is going to speculate about what exactly that is going to be. We'll see if we agree with any of these ideas. Summary, according to a report, Avengers 5 will be moving away from Kang the Conqueror. Dr. Doom could replace Kang as the main villain in Avengers 5. We'll see if they have any kind of evidence for that, like where they're getting that from. Other potential story paths for Avengers 5 could be a return of Earth 838 or a crossover from the X-Men from the Marvel's post-credit scene. Maybe. This says new story details for Avengers 5 have been revealed in a major report after not having a single movie for Earth's Mightiest Heroes in the multiverse saga so far. 2 new Avengers films are finally on the way, which we've known about forever. 2026 will see the release of Avengers 5, while 27 ends the multiverse saga with Avengers Secret Wars. These are all things that we knew already. Ever since Kang, Jonathan Majors was fired, Avengers 5's future has been left up in the air. And this was a leak, I think, because Marvel was set to make kind of some big announcements at San Diego Comic-Con, and we've had a couple of big announcements the last couple of weeks. We've had the trailer for Brave New World, and now we've learned this, and it's like, what are they even going to have left for Comic-Con? I guess the title for this, and probably like coming out and saying for sure that it's the Russos, because all the reporting so far is in talks. But there's no way that they're, in my opinion, DJ, there's no way they're talking to the Russos and that doesn't work out. Those guys haven't had a big hit since they left Marvel, and Marvel kind of desperately needs something to get people excited about those movies. So it feels like, I've seen a few people say this, and I agree with this, it feels like kind of desperation on both sides.
Yeah, what do you think? Like, is that smart on their part to come back? They went out, they had the trilogy, or they did 4 movies. They did 4 movies, and everyone loves all of them. I mean, not everyone, but for over majority. Like
4 MCU movies, you're saying, yeah.
They nailed it. Is it smart for them to just cut and run? Like, should you come back and do like 2 afterthought? I don't know.
I'll answer that real quick, and then I'll read the rest of this article. It's smart in one way for them, although I feel like MCU is probably getting the better end of the stick on it. It's smart from a monetary standpoint. They're going to make
they're going to make
big bank making those. And like I don't mean to sound horribly negative. I like those guys. I really like their Marvel work. I haven't really seen anything else that they've done outside of that, and people have not said great things about their newer movies post that. Have you seen anything they've made?
No, I know they did that like spy movie with Chris
Evans,
Gray Man or something, but I heard it was just bleh.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well. Which, I mean, I didn't see it, so I can't speak to it. Maybe it's great and everybody's crazy, but people were kind of lukewarm on everything they've done since then. So I said I hate to be horribly negative, but this could kind of be their last big hurrah, and then if they didn't want to, they'd never have to work again.
Yeah.
So there is that. So, like, it may not be super smart for their legacy if these movies don't end up being great or aren't, as well received as their last movies. Like, from a legacy standpoint, from a creative standpoint, it does, like I said, it seems like Marvel would be getting the better end of the stick, because from them, like, how do you top the response with Endgame? Like, there's no way, no matter what they make, they have the kind of box office that those movies did. They could make movies that are as close to as well liked or as well liked, although I think that's also a tall order, because they basically did a giant finale, and then the reins were passed to new directors and new writers that have not overall made people as thrilled and excited as staying into this stuff and continuing to watch these movies. And so it ends up looking like they're coming back to just kind of salvage everything, as opposed to. And I know how Marvel will sell it. They'll play it like they're doing what they did with Endgame again, where it's like, this is the last big hurrah for this section of the universe. And there's been a lot of speculation, and I feel like Marvel has kind of all but made this clear that we're soft rebooting probably after Secret Wars. So it's really interesting, right, that you're now going to have the Russos coming back, and like, make no bones about it, this is the safest play they could make. And much safer than using the director that they had previously, the guy who did Shang-Chi, because like that movie was people, I think, especially since it came out, have been kind of lukewarm on it. Like, it did fine at the box office, but I don't think people were like blown away by like the directing with that movie or anything. 'Cause I don't think people are looking at Shang-Chi and going, yeah, that's the guy that needs to make Avengers. Maybe it would have been great, but I don't think his name necessarily gives people a lot of confidence, right? And so the Russos, like, that's the, if they can get them, that is the safest possible bet they could make. But it's interesting because they're going to come back and do exactly the same thing that they did with Infinity War and Endgame, where it's like, this is the end of an era. Who knows what's going to happen after this? You've got to be there for this big event. The first time the big event was like last hurrah for certain major superhero characters like Captain America and Iron Man, and like passing the torch to some new heroes ostensibly, and then like that whole just Avengers era. Like, this is the end of the thing we started with 2012, and certainly started with Iron Man, but especially with Avengers in 2012. Now it's going to be, this is the last big hurrah for the universe, and it will become something else after this. They're also going to do it in exactly the same way, in that it will be two movies that come out a year apart, or at least 1 year and then the next year, if not just a few months apart, because I don't know what the release dates are going to be yet. And they'll be in the exact same position where they're going to make movies that probably arguably are a part 1 and part 2 that they will swear up and down are different projects.
If it ain't broke.
Isn't that crazy? I hope they do everything they did last time, DJ. I hope they give us a name for this first movie at San Diego Comic-Con, and I hope they wait until weeks before the second one is released with a title that doesn't excite or surprise or amuse anybody. Like, oh, Endgame, okay, sure. Like, why'd you keep that under your hat for so long? How did that not leak earlier than it did?
Like, nobody wanted to leak it. Like,
that's the thing that's the thing you managed to hide?
That's too lame. That can't be true.
Apologies, my mic is really hot tonight for some reason. I'm gonna try to fix it.
You're just so worked up about these Russos.
I know, I'm really worked up about it. Anyway, sorry. So to answer your question, it is like, as much as it kind of reeks of desperation to me, it's probably the right call on Marvel's part.
Yeah, I don't blame them at all. I mean, it makes sense.
They at least know that these are guys that can do that job. You know,
because it's not an easy job. Like, it broke Joss Whedon. Like, those are huge movies. And I guess it helps to split it up between two people.
Yeah, well, and as much as I would have maybe liked to have seen New Blood and two totally different directors for these two movies, assuming that they, have slightly different tones and aren't just a part 1 and a part 2. We'll see how that ends up working out and how connected the stories are, because I don't know how much more multiversal that second movie will be than the first. But given that originally it was supposed to be Kang Dynasty, and we have that big setup for all the different Kangs the variants of the multiverse, it was clear that both of these were going to be, two big dimension-hopping multiversal movies to finish off the whole multiverse saga thing. I'm sure 5 will still have some of that, but I wonder if it'll be as multiverse-focused, or if it'll be the Russos kind of trying to get us back on track first. That's my big prediction, is that the Russos could come in. It's also hard to say, like, how far in pre-production they already are. Like, when the Russos come in, are they handing them, like they do with a lot of directors, some stuff that's been done already that they're stuck with? Like have they already started prevising things? Like, we know they do that. Even with the announcement that it's no longer called King Dynasty, I don't think it's for sure that they're starting from zero and they have nothing done yet, DJ. It also could be a Spider-Man No Way Home situation where they had some stuff done, they scrapped it, they brought in a new director, and they're basically going to say, okay, now make us a great movie in like 7 months. That's also entirely possible.
Well, I have more faith in them than John Watts, at least. But I really hope that they bring, like...
Yeah, that's fair. But
Civil War tone.
Oh, no. Well,
Infinity War tone. I don't want a Weekend at Bernie's subplot in the middle of Secret Wars. Like, stop it.
I guess, yeah, but you know what? If that was the whole movie, I could be entertained by that.
Just the Beyonder being wheeled around.
Yeah, sure. Or whoever it is, But yeah, I said No Way Home. I guess the other big thing that happened was Doctor Strange 2, when we brought in Sam Raimi, and he had to kind of start that project over. And I know a lot of people don't like that movie. I thought that turned out quite good, actually. And he was on my short list for directors I might have liked to have seen attempt one of these Avengers movies.
Yeah, I can't get excited about it. It's just the safe choice.
Yeah.
It's not exciting or scary. It's just...
No, that's the thing, is I'm not excited, but now I think there's a little bit more hope that they can patch things together now. The nice thing about using the Russos is you can kind of bookend the tone again and get us back to at least a flavor of what the fans really like. Their name on it might put more butts in seats. We have a guy that doesn't like it when I say butts in seats for some reason, but I'm just that's how I say that. I'm going to say that. So yeah, but butts in seats, and then you reboot, and there's I think just more of a chance after that you can bring the consumer confidence back. Like, I've always said, you have to nail Fantastic Four and you have to nail X-Men. Because those are the big, especially after 97, like all of a sudden X-Men is really relevant again. So if you can nail those two things after you give us a safe but hopefully, fun and entertaining send-off for this previous universe, or at least this previous iteration of it, however the soft reboot thing happens, because there's no telling, like, if we're talking about basically brand new universe. We speculated a few weeks ago about the idea of going back to the 60s with the Fantastic Four and just kind of moving up decade by decade. I don't think they'll do that, but, like, that's a possibility. That's a thing they could do. It's a lot more likely that they bring in 60s Fantastic Four, because we know that's a period piece from another universe that winds up in a newly molded 616. Because they've decided to call it that now, for lack of a better term.
So we do First Avenger again, and like they have to adjust to modern day.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what they'll do. But they have to nail that. They have to nail X-Men, and that's kind of the three punch now that would potentially get them back on track, where they can really compete with Gunn's DC universe, if that's successful at all. But anyway, back to the point I was making, and then I'll finish this article real quick. DJ asked me a question that I just went off the rails. I no, you're fine. My big prediction with this, not that it's lofty or shocking or anything, is they'll use that first movie now to kind of hilariously get it back on track and get people caring about characters they don't currently really care that much about, so that they can then get rid of a lot of them in their second movie to then reboot the universe, so that they can. What I think they'll do is in a rebooted universe, bring back with new actors some of the characters that really sold tickets and sold merchandise for them before. So you soft reboot so that you can have a new Iron Man and a new Captain America that aren't just new mantles, but different actors playing a Steve Rogers and a Tony Stark, et cetera, et cetera. Whether they'll ever allow somebody else to play T'Challa is a question, but
hopefully they learn that lesson by now.
And I think they'll kind of reimagine some of those characters a little bit, where it'll be the same actors, but they'll sort of reintroduce them, and I also think that they'll try to be as minimal in connections to and references to TV shows nobody likes. So like some of those characters they'll have to use. Or that just didn't really get a lot of numbers, right? So, like, you know they'll use Kate Bishop, but how much will they even talk about her TV show, for instance? Like, she'll be reintroduced. And that's not because that show's bad. It's because a lot of people that now will go see this new Avengers movie, because the Russos are making it, won't actually know who she is. She showed up in the after credits for the Marvels, and like my theater, nobody knew who that was. They're like, oh, that's a big deal. Who the hell is that supposed to be? She had her own TV show, you guys.
Oh, that would have been the most exciting part of the movie for me.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, you don't need much. Just a quick line about how she trained with the other Hawkeye, and you're good.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. Yeah, you don't need too much. I'll go ahead and read the rest of this article real quick. So Avenger 5's new story direction possibilities explained. I love how Screen Rant writes articles, DJ. It's like, oh, these are the possibilities. Let's explain them. Okay. These are opinions you guys have. I don't know. Why does the word explained sell YouTube videos and articles? Why don't you just say, why don't you just say, these are what we think they might do? No, explained. These are the possibilities. All right.
Well, new story direction possibilities relayed didn't have the same ring to it.
Let's see. Before it was revealed that Marvel had considered dropping Kang altogether, replacing him with Doctor Doom. Oh, you know what? I had not heard that. Okay, well, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit on my making fun of Screen Rant and say if that was actually confirmed that there was discussions about bringing in Doctor Doom, that makes this a lot more of a plausible idea. This says the character still has yet to debut in the MCU, but with the Fantastic Four coming to theaters next year, Doctor Doom could first appear there and be set up to take on the MCU's heroes in Avengers 5. What would be weird about that, though, is if we're introduced to a Doctor Doom, everybody stay with me here, from a different universe's 1960s before we meet the Fantastic Four in said alternate universe 1960s. That would be a little bit odd. Is it more likely that we meet a completely unrelated Doctor Doom, and he's a big bad through this in Secret Wars? Because Doctor Doom is a big part of Secret Wars and the 2016 Secret Wars, which ostensibly soft rebooted the comic book Marvel Universe. I think it would be a mistake to not to think that won't influence that movie at all, the other Secret Wars, because there's a blueprint there for how to do this, where you segment, where their battle world could be segmenting the MCU into, the multiverse into all these different continuities that are all kind of like sitting right next to each other with walls up like they did in the comics. They could do that. And Doctor Doom in that story reinvents the universe to his own liking. So that is a reason to think they could do Doctor Doom. But I don't think you can assume that if they do Doctor Doom, it's the same character that we'll have later in their 60s period piece, if he's even in that movie. Because we know they're doing Galactus. They could even avoid Doctor Doom in their first movie. He's not been cast. Well,
here's what you do. You introduce Galactus and Silver Surfer, and then Dr. Doom comes back and he's all pretty, and then he steals Silver Surfer's board, and then he gets the power of the Surfer.
When you say he's all pretty, is that because he, like Silver Surfer, is also a girl now? Is that?
No, that's what happens.
Oh, okay.
In the movie, he comes back and he's all healed, and they're like, "Whoa, you're healed."
Oh yeah, that does happen there. But it would be really funny if the big reveal was he takes off his helmet and he's a woman now. They could do that actually, because they could have an alternate female Doctor Doom, and then the one that we meet is more traditional.
There you go. Now you're thinking like an executive, my man.
Exactly. No, that's real smart. Just make everybody think that they're going to gender swap everybody, and then go, no, psych, here's the real Silver Surfer and the real Doctor Doom. Why would you do that?
We killed off those silly women characters.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot if the whole point is just to be more diverse. Like, yeah, don't worry, guys. Those characters don't matter. Okay. I feel like that's the opposite of what you're trying to do, but all right. Anyway, this continues. Dr. Doom is the best possible replacement for Kang. I think I'm agreeing with that the more I'm reading this. Maybe I should have read the article first. As the villain is the main foe of the comic book event that inspired Avengers Secret Wars. I just said that. With the multiverse wide open, Avengers 5 could also decide to put the MCU heroes against a threat from another universe. I kind of said that too. After Scarlet Witch's rampage on Earth 838, a new version of that world's Illuminati and perhaps the Inhumans, sure, they're going to do Inhumans again. Yeah. I think Eternals is more likely, and nobody cares about them either. And the Fantastic Four could come looking for revenge and fight Earth 616's heroes. I say nobody cares about that. I know people that love that movie, but it didn't do great at the box office. So I think the likelihood of them doing a bunch of Eternal stuff now is not looking good. Look, the big question is, and I'm kind of surprised they're I guess the next paragraph, they're kind of tackling this a little bit. Let me read this real quick. It says, there's also rumors that an Avengers versus X-Men movie could be in the works. Okay, so Austin suggested that to me today, and I thought that was just his idea. I didn't realize other people were also talking about that. And since the Russo brothers have talked about their love for the X-Men, that could become the plot of Avengers 5. Austin mentioned to me that one character they've always wanted to do is Wolverine. I don't know if they'll let him introduce their new Wolverine, or if they can convince Jackman to come back yet again, because
he'll have a trilogy of returns.
Because what they're doing, yeah, and probably all like different versions of the same character, because like Logan is not exactly movie Wolverine in the first place, and then this new Wolverine from Deadpool and the Wolverine is supposed to be from another universe. I predict they kill him off in Deadpool 3. Who knows? But like, I was talking to Austin about this too, because Austin said that maybe what they'll do is use Wolverine, kind of this big like desperate attempt to keep people interested as a big part of Secret Wars, and have other like Fox X-Men characters and other and maybe even Fantastic Four, like other Fox movie characters in Secret Wars especially. And I was like, I don't know, I think they're treating Deadpool 3 as a one-off, and that's how they got Jackman to come back in the first place as well. It's just a fun like comedy romp. It's a one-off thing. You don't have to do any more, and you're not even playing the same character, so it doesn't conflict with the way you left in Logan because you didn't want to do it anymore. This is a different thing. You're not really playing that same Wolverine anymore. If their whole plan was to keep him around like DCEU was supposed to with Michael Keaton, I don't even think he would have done it. But if they could convince him with a big-ass check, then the loophole you get there, even if I'm right, in speaking to what you're talking about, DJ, is just, well, it's yet another Wolverine from another universe that Jackman is still playing.
We all need an agent like Hugh Jackman's agent, is what we're learning from this. The man has a whole trilogy of X-Men films revolving around him. He has a whole trilogy of solo films, and now he's going to have a trilogy of unwarranted returns. It's crazy.
Yeah. And his Wolverine trilogy, quote, air quotes, is unprecedented because he's arguably playing a completely different character in all three of them, or at least different continuities. The Wolverine technically could be in the previous X-Men universe, but like that continuity is already so mucked up that I can't tell, and neither can anyone else. And the only thing that remotely really links it is the fact that there's an after credits that leads to Days of Future Past. But an argument could even be made that Days of Future Past is, well, I was going to say not exactly the same kind. It has to be first class continuity. I don't know.
They also have Femke Jensen in there with those like dreams he's having.
Yeah, but like we have like the same actors playing characters that are in like slightly, different kind. Like the Logan continuity cannot be the same continuity as Days of Future Past, but you still have Patrick Stewart there playing Professor X. So,
yeah.
So what's your point?
My point is the X-Men movies don't care about anything.
No, they don't. They really don't. Anyway, so, that could be the plot of Avengers 5. The Marvels revealed a new universe where the X-Men exist, and Deadpool and Wolverine should introduce a few more. Like I said, I still think that's going to be a real one-off, but we'll see. Finally, with the Young Avengers being set up over the past couple of years, Avengers 5 could be a two-hander, with Captain America assembling the older Avengers and the team working alongside the Young Avengers to fight a new villain on two fronts. Yeah, I hadn't had that thought. I guess they could do that, too. They could treat it like a big kind of passing the torch thing. I was honestly, so this is what I was expecting before the Russos came in. Now I think all bets are off, potentially, unless they have already kind of, half pre-visited the movie, and then they go, hey, Russos, make this for us, but you have to do a lot of it the way we've already set it up. I figured the first movie would be, before Majors left, or before he got fired, that it would be, Kang versus the Young Avengers, all these new characters that we've been bringing in and touting up, trying to get people excited about, and then we wouldn't really do all of the how do I want to put it? All the cameo parade stuff until Secret Wars, where you'd have different universes because it's the multiverse saga and it's Kang, so variants and stuff in that first movie, but you wouldn't really see a lot of, with No Way Home, characters from other movie universes that we had previously, back in the mid-2000s, until you got into Secret Wars. That's kind of what I thought they would do with that, and even you probably wouldn't see old Avengers coming back, even if they're from other universes played by old actors like Robert Downey and stuff, until Secret Wars. So I'm seeing a lot of people speculating that they're going to do some of that already in that first movie, maybe in the after credits. But I really don't think you'll see that until Secret Wars. And then all bets are off with Secret Wars. They will bring back everybody they absolutely they possibly can for that movie, I think.
Hooray.
Yeah, no, I know that's not what you want. That's not really what I want either. I'm just calling it like I'm seeing it, DJ. That's what they're gonna do. I do think that there's a possibility that we get this out of our systems and we finally just get back to brass tacks and start making movies again.
That would be great.
But we're gonna have to sit through 3 big event movies that do the cameos and things before that happens.
I just wish Fantastic Four could be pushed until after all this nonsense, because I want that to be
I'm with you.
its own 60s thing. I don't want it to be weighed down with all this mess.
Well, it won't necessarily. I mean, it could still be in isolation, but I'm with you that I wish we could reboot the universe, if they're doing that, before we get to Fantastic Four, just so that we don't have the rest of this in the back of our minds. It'd be nice to get to kind of start over.
Yeah, that would be the way to do it, too. Start it right this time.
I stand by what I said a few weeks ago. I wish we would do the First Class thing and restart the Marvel Universe in the 60s and just let it be a slow burn catching up to present day. Over 20 years. Why not? Why not? It'd be really cool.
Reading through all of these Stan Lee comics lately with Spider-Man has just been man, this just works in the 60s.
Right?
We've done our best, but it just would be so much better if it just took place in the 60s.
And it worked for X-Men.
It was great. That's one of my favorites.
And I mean, I wish they would have stayed there longer. As much as I like Days of Future Past, and Austin and I talked about this when we did the commentary a while back. They needed another movie in between.
Yeah.
Like at the very least, they they really jumped the gun on that.
Yep.
Okay, we're 50 minutes in. I wasn't looking at a clock. I probably should have been. We'll see if people have questions about that. And once again, feel free to start throwing in super chats if you're so inclined. Top super chatter tonight gets to pick a superhero show for me to do a commentary stream on Sunday or Monday. Some episodes of for a couple of hours. Let me segue with a point that I was going to make into that trailer, DJ, to say at least we've got a movie coming out next year in MCU that doesn't look like it's going to be riddled with multiverse stuff, even though it's, within the, multiverse saga. The Brave New World trailer really surprised me. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to get my hopes up too much, and I'm in a cautiously optimistic place with it now, but that's further than I was before, because it sounded like a gigantic mess. Put back a whole year. We're not just talking reshoots, we're talking they refilmed like a lot of that movie, and it just kind of spelled disaster, it sounded like. And it's the same guys that made Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I didn't like by the end, and so I don't trust it. I was really worried that it would be more like Winter Soldier Light, where you're trying really hard to make a great espionage thriller, but you just don't know how to do it without getting kind of like sappy and over the top with it and authentic with it. But I like the Falcon and Winter Soldier trailers too, so like we know that they are making things that you can cut a trailer for that look like Winter Soldier again. I'm hoping that this time they learn some lessons from some of the story mistakes they made with Falcon and Winter Soldier. It looks exactly like what I want. It looks spectacular. I'm really excited about it, or I want to be really excited about it. I can't say I am yet. I'm cautiously optimistic. But I will say it got me excited, and then I had to think about it. I was like, oh, wait a minute, it's those guys though, isn't it? Like, don't get your hopes up. But this is not, for people that think I'm too negative on new stuff now, as I always say, I'm just calling it like I'm seeing it. I'm liking less than I want to be. But I'm not going to walk into that movie hoping it's bad, of course. I want it to be what that trailer looks like. So first of all, just the editing with it is really cool. I don't know if you saw it, DJ, but they're doing this like.
I was cramming right as you were talking. I was watching it.
Did you see it? They're doing this really cool like black and white flash thing, that looks like that makes it look more like a 70s espionage thriller, and they've totally won me over with the recasting with Harrison Ford. He just seems right. If he's going to be as antagonistic toward Sam as he's going to be, it's kind of fun because he's played the president before, in his movie in the mid 2000s, Air Force One. So like that's kind of a fun nod that we're going back and we're having him play the president again. I don't know how exactly the whole Red Hulk thing is going to work out. There are a couple places in the trailer where I feel like his dialogue is a little forced, where like he's reading stuff that to him sounds like goofy comic book stuff, and he's not sure how to deliver it naturally.
Yeah, there's no way he's going to deliver Hulk dialogue. He's going to have to. Someone else is going to have to.
Somebody else should do that. There's a place where he says Captain America, almost like he couldn't get it out right. He was like, do I really have to say Captain America? It's like, that's the name of the movie, so yes, but all right.
I love that they did the roadie line. They did that all the way back to Iron Man 2, where like he's like, I'm having trouble getting used to the new look. Like that's cool.
That'll be too wink wink nod nod to some people, but I don't mind it if that's all you do and then you move on. And it seems like that's what they're doing with it.
Yeah, that's what they did last time.
And I like that this is actually in my mind, just seeing it from that trailer, DJ, even better than the way it's handled in Iron Man 2, because there's not even really a lot of context for it. It's kind of just the characters like kind of break character for a second and are talking about the fact that a recast happened. Like in the context of the scene, what else are they talking about?
I'm like, here. It's me. Let's move on.
Does it actually make any sense?
I don't know.
But here he makes it about the mustache, and I'm like, okay, well, there's in-story like
Yeah,
context
it's kind
for
of clever.
it.
Yeah.
That made sense. Yeah,
I like to think that
so that's
Harrison
cool.
Ford refused to wear a mustache, so they just had to shave off the character's mustache.
Yeah, that's probably what happened, but it's a good excuse to have some kind of acknowledgement. I also just don't think you have to do that. I think recasting is fine. Like the man died, you still want to use the character, rest in peace, but like move on, recast it.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, you're recasting it with a like much more well-known, recognizable actor, which is kind of an odd, unusual thing to do. But he's getting so much more to do in this, and it looks like, and I was kind of excited to see. It looks like Harrison Ford is gonna like get some like real acting to do, maybe. So that's cool. But my big takeaway was, like, I haven't been excited about Falcon in a long time, and Falcon was one of my favorite characters in this universe. I loved him so much in Winter Soldier, and everything subsequently. I got really kind of obsessed with their Falcon, and then Falcon and Winter Soldier wasn't great, and he starts making these like big platitude-laden speeches where I didn't even know how we got there, and I still can't figure out at what point in that show it all became about race. Like I still haven't figured that out, and so I kind of lost interest a little bit, and I was like, I don't know if this is the same character or even really a character anymore. That trailer reminded me how much I loved that guy, and that was the big thing for me. Is I'm like, oh, there's a chance. I don't know how small it is.
I'm excited for you, man. I hope it's great. Maybe they can write movies better than they can write series. Who knows?
Well, and I think there's a good chance that the Russos, especially if this movie does well, although they're going to have to start working on it pretty quick, so who knows if they can respond at all or like be influenced at all by success of this movie, coming out as late as February. But I think the Russos coming in, there's a good chance that there's quite a bit of Falcon focus in their next Avengers movie, because he's the only character that's still around besides Winter Soldier. If we do anything more with him, I don't know that he's not going to be an Avenger, because I forgot they're doing Thunderbolts, which unless they make a great trailer like this, I don't think anybody's going to see that, or I don't think it's going to do great. But so I forgot about that. He is coming back, but I don't think he'll be an Avenger. It'd be really weird if he was in Thunderbolts and it was like, oh, he's another recognizable character. We'll also make him an Avenger too. He's both. Okay. But I think there's a chance that they do a lot with Falcon.
Yeah, I hope so, man, because I know you loved him, and they kind of butchered your boy. So I hope it's great. And but I wouldn't necessarily...
They could just forget about that TV show and move on, and a lot of people won't care.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily base everything on those shows, because those shows were like so super rushed to crank them out like really fast. And
yeah.
They had like no time to... So that wasn't their best work. So here's hoping they can do some better stuff.
No, but they also hedged their bets with them too much and pinned a lot of stuff on them. So, like you're right about that, and I think they can ignore them to some degree if they want to, but they've already connected a lot of story and continuity stuff with those shows, which makes me concerned that they'll feel like they have to keep calling back to them and building on them.
Yeah.
Because like they're already doing that with Loki and Deadpool 3. Like all this stuff is still, and they've introduced characters in the TV shows that have, been important in movies now. Like the like that female agent that everybody hates from Falcon and Winter Soldier, played by Elaine from Seinfeld. So like they're doing a lot of that stuff.
Well, I think wasn't she first introduced in the Black Widow end credits?
Oh, maybe she was. I don't even remember now. See, I'm just not as invested as I used to be. It's hard to keep all this stuff straight because I don't like now. It's a chore. Now I don't care anymore, and I want to care again. I really do.
I want to care again.
I really do.
There's a quote for the trailer.
It's a resounding endorsement.
I want to care again. Everyone.
I thought the action looked cool. I thought
the lighting looks cool. It's got some actual stylish lighting with some greens and oranges, and there's another. We haven't had like a big. Have we had like a big White House fight since Nightcrawler?
I don't think we have. That got me excited. I couldn't help it. And like we've already recently done the Statue of Liberty again because of No Way Home. So we got that chestnut back in superhero. Do you have any idea how many Statue of Liberty fights there are in just superhero movies? Like 6. Like we do it a lot.
You could do a top 6 video. Rank them. Rank the Statue of Liberty fights.
The Statue of Liberty. Yeah, I'd probably extend it to just appearances of the statue, because then I can get Captain Invincible in there once again. But yeah, because his headquarters is in the head of the Statue of Liberty in that movie. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that. We watched that once when you were here, and it was a silly night. I don't remember.
Yeah, I didn't know if you remembered that, but yeah, his headquarters is in the head. Like that's why they closed the observatory, is because Captain Invincible lives in it. It's great.
Nice.
Well, we are at an hour. We'll go ahead and take a break, and then, like I said, I've got a couple of other things I want to mention kind of briefly. When we get back, we'll do a bunch of Q&A. That'll be the majority of the second hour. This is a decent stopping point, so yeah, sorry I didn't get the rest of this done yet, but it won't take very long when we come back. So, everybody, take a quick break or hang tight, and we will see you in just a couple of minutes. Hey everybody, we're back. I was just looking at some comments about things we were just talking about. Mutali was mentioning Esposito, who I didn't bring up, but yeah, they're selling Brave New World on him real hard as the villain or a villain, and it's cool to finally see him in an MCU movie. There's obviously reason to be concerned that he'll just be another variation on Gus Fring again. Like, it'd be nice to see him not have to keep playing the same character kind of over and over again. As much as I love him evil, I hate that he gets typecast all the time, because I love that actor and he's got a lot of range. But sure, let him do that once in Marvel, and I'm sure he'll be great. He always is. Plush DX says Cap has missed quite a bit of news. I have, and I mean, I usually only do one lead-in topic. Tonight I'm doing a few more because of all the news that I have missed, but I'm sure there's other stuff I could be talking about.
Oh, was there a fight in Wonder Woman 84? I have completely blocked that movie out of my head.
Yeah, I think so, actually.
That movie is 17 hours long.
Yeah, and it's got the substance of a Super Friends episode stretched to 3. How is that movie 2.5 hours long?
How is that movie? You could have stopped the sentence right there. That's what I ask myself ever since I've seen it.
Well, DJ, get excited, because you're going to be doing the Superhero Rewind commentary with me on that movie. Well, the reason that I drafted you for that is because that's exactly what happened to Austin when I told him he had to do it, and he came out of his chair. All. Yeah, and he never came back. So like, I need somebody.
Oh man, that would be brutal. I mean, it would be a fun one to riff on, actually, because it's so goofy.
Austin says Esposito is great in Maxine. I've never heard. I don't even know what that is.
That's in theaters right now. It's the third
he's mostly
movie.
Mostly not playing the same role. That's great. Well, hopefully he can be a bad guy, but not have to just channel that once again. And I don't know. It's distracting, because he is my favorite character in Breaking Bad, and then he just keeps getting cast, and it's not his fault, but in things where he kind of has to do it again.
I think he should just play the new Professor X as Gus.
Yeah, there are like 40 different characters people want Esposito to play in DC and Marvel, and I'm sure he could do all of them. But he's the name that comes up for everybody, especially anybody that doesn't have hair. It is kind of Patrick Stewart all over again, except I think he's right for more of them.
I want him to be the most intense Robbie Robertson ever. I just want him to come into the Daily Bugle. Oh my God, that'd be great. Just terrify everybody.
Yeah, and he's 5 steps ahead of everybody. He seems to have these machinations in the background, but you don't actually know what his evil scheme is, because he's just Robbie Robertson.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it seems like there's something going on, but it never comes up. Like, he never takes like Jameson's job. Nothing. Thomas Lowe, Professor Fring. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I saw a question I liked. Oh, Hot Soup. Catwoman versus Wonder Woman 84. Which is worse? Definitely Catwoman.
Yeah.
But it is mercifully shorter.
That's true.
But it doesn't feel shorter, because it's so bad. And it's still irritating how few good female-led superhero movies there are.
Yeah, well, I think Wonder Woman 84 hurts more because it's it's a sequel to a movie that I actually really liked.
Yeah, same here.
Whereas Catwoman, it's like, who cares? Like, it's it's this own thing.
Yeah, I mean, that one, if you were keeping up at the time and you're a big Batman person, and I mean, there's a lot of ifs here, and if you happen to like Returns, it was disappointing because that started as a Returns spinoff. So, like, if you wanted to see Michelle Pfeiffer get her own Catwoman movie, and I'm warming up more and more to Returns, but I still don't love it. With the right script, Michelle Pfeiffer is certainly a great Catwoman. So it could have been really cool, but you're right, it's not the same thing as a direct sequel a couple of years later to a movie you really liked that totally falls off, and it's even worse when it's made by the same person. You
Yeah,
know,
and
it's
she
like
had
that Dark
free
Knight
reign.
Rises thing. It's like, what is happening?
I don't know what happened. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, what we're learning is you've got to rein in directors, but you have to know how far to rein them in. You know, you can't, and it depends on the director. And if you're a studio head, you have to understand the creative side enough to know what mandates to put in. Like, it's very complicated.
You need to subject all superhero directors to a polygraph test and be like, okay, is your favorite superhero movie the bad parts of Superman 2? Is that really what you're trying to make? Because then you're out.
Omari Daniel says, well, at least now we have Zoe Kravitz, Catwoman. I want her to get her own miniseries so bad. Like with Penguin. I think that would just be wonderful. By the way, that was a big headline that I didn't get a chance to weigh in on, that I didn't even have on my list tonight because we've got so much to talk about. But I'll just real quick mention that. This is a little bit baffling to me. They have now, Gunn and DC Studios, they have now completely axed the Batman spin-off miniseries we were supposed to get on Max. So they were going to do an Arkham show. And at one time, there was kind of some confusion about whether there were even two different shows apart from Penguin. Where there was talk about an Arkham show, and then there was talk about a Gotham PD show, and then it turned out they were the same show, I think. And now that's been axed completely, and the timing of that is very peculiar to me, DJ, because Penguin just got its second trailer, is coming out soon, and before they even have seen the returns on that, and the reaction to that, I say returns, just, you know, the viewership on Max, but before they even know if anybody likes that spinoff, they've already axed the other one. So, like, I really wonder what happened behind the scenes on that. I wonder if that's, like, if it just wasn't coming together right, or if Gunn, like, I'm sure there's kind of conspiracy theories happening from people that aren't happy that James Gunn has taken over and are assuming that this means that slowly we're gonna, like, completely cut out the Batman universe, and that you're not gonna have the two separate universes, even though Gunn has promised that that's going to continue on its own, and that maybe this means that they'll quietly shut down the Batman 2. That's not going to happen. I don't think. So I would be really surprised if it was Gunn just, like, looking at budgets and stuff and going, well, I've got all these things I'm doing, and we just don't have the space or the money anymore for this series, even though there's no reason to assume that wouldn't have done well. And I think you'd want to wait until you see how Penguin does. So, like, something happened with that. I'd love to know the details on that.
I'm kind of disappointed with the way the Batman thing has gone, because I like that movie quite a bit. But what was most exciting about it, it was like, okay, we've set up a really cool universe, and we've got all these things in the works, and it's going to be like boom, boom, boom. This is going to be a very full universe. We're going to have shows and movies, and nothing has happened in years. Like, it's just been taking so long, which is a bummer, because I was excited to get more of that more quickly.
Yeah, it's funny, and, like, we don't mean to be hypocritical when we say this. I agree with DJ. This is a place where it wasn't looking like an oversaturation problem. Because we have that with things, right? Where something will come out and then just immediately, and sometimes even we greenlight stuff before we know how well it's going to do. That happened with Peacemaker. Now, people liked that show, but wasn't my thing, but people liked that show. But, like, MCU has had this problem. We complain about this all the time. Like, Star Trek has had this problem, where we put something out and then we just throw out, like, everything against the wall and see if anything sticks. And you just end up with a bunch of superfluous, sometimes crap, sometimes nonsense, sometimes just really mediocre stuff. But like you said, DJ, the Batman looked like a real full, rich universe. And as long as the quality was up to snuff and we took our time on stuff, it would have made sense to have several different projects in that universe that didn't all have to have Batman in them or have much of Batman in them. Now, the one thing I'll disagree with you on, DJ, is I didn't mind not having anything for the first couple of years because I kind of understood why you'd put that movie out before you started really working on anything. You know, and so it might take a couple of years for your first thing to come out. But then right behind that, you know, so like, okay, the Batman comes out in 2022, then your first next big project comes out in 24, and then it ought to be at least one thing a year, if not a couple, depending on what you're wanting to make.
Yeah, I guess it's not been as long as it feels like, but yeah,
it does feel like it's been longer than that.
It felt like he already had his universe all like fleshed out, and he had all these plans, and I guess it's not even that stuff hasn't come out; it's that we haven't even heard about any stuff.
Right.
We just know there's a sequel and this one show. So.
And then this one other thing we knew was happening has now been canceled. Okay, a couple other things I want to mention real quick, like DJ. We got some.
We're good at that.
We're really good at that. We got some. That's why it's got to be 2 hours, man. We got a little bit of news about DC's new Absolute line, their answer to Ultimate, and the more I'm hearing about this, DJ, the more I'm disappointed, and then the more after that I'm hearing about it, the more I'm laughing at it, which is unfortunate. I've said for a long time it would be really cool if DC had something akin to its own Ultimate line. The way you have your cake and eat it too in starting over like New 52 tried to all those years ago now is, well, you don't actually start over the mainline continuity, you just have an alternative continuity. Earth 1 worked that way really well, except they didn't come out very often and they were just large trades, large graphic novels. So it'd be cool to have that kind of thing on a monthly basis, or at least like an Earth 1, but come out more often. So they're doing a thing called Absolute, which I talked to John about this, and I agree with him when he says Absolute is a silly title. You know why it's silly? Because it feels like you're just trying to come up with, and I always wondered this. I was like, if DC ever does their own Ultimate line, what are they going to call it? Because you're not going to be able to come up with anything that just doesn't sound like a synonym for Ultimate, and that's exactly what they did. Furthermore, well, now you've confused everything because that's what you call your big deluxe hardcovers. So now you have Absolute editions of books that don't have anything to do with the Absolute universe. What are you doing? Now, I don't have an answer. I don't know what you should call it, but not that. You're already using that name for something. It's kind of like, and then it looks like the 52 thing where we're just obsessed with that number. Like, now we're obsessed with this word. We can't stop using Absolute.
Absolute. That's silly. It sounds kind of like some kind of diet food. They should have went with DC.
Where they just leave the E off?
Yeah. It sounds like some kind of berry nutrient juice that you would get for like $17 a bottle.
That's exactly what it sounds like.
I think they should have just went all the way with it and called it DC Penultimate.
Oh, that's good.
And then
it happens before what?
And then nothing ever happens. There's no conclusion to it.
I'm in love with that. That's great. And then everybody would just call it the Penverse.
Penverse.
Well, I said I don't have an answer. Here's what I might have called it. And this will sound, now, unless there's precedent for this and I'm not aware of it or I'm forgetting it, this will sound silly at first, but I'll explain it and it will kind of make sense. First of all, I'm going to take longer on this than I meant to also. Apologies. Let me get this thought out real quick. So, first of all, DC is not like Marvel in that it has always had a deep multiversal bent going all the way back to Golden Age. So when Marvel did the Ultimate Universe, the novelty for that was originally it's a separate universe that's not even in a grander multiverse. You can't cross over with it. It's just a different thing entirely. Later on, they went back on that. And Marvel more and more has been about multiverse to the point where they got to it before even DC movies did. It's really kind of wild. With DC, I think it makes sense to, even if you don't want to cross it with anything, still lean into the Earth numbering thing, because that's how we've always done alternate continuities in DC. And so you already have Earth 1. I would have called it something like Earth 0. And also because they love that number. We've got 0 year with Batman. Well, before that you had 0 hour. Like, there's a lot of good precedent for that word. But it wouldn't conflict too much with anything, because I don't think there is an Earth 0, unless Snyder did it with Metal or something, and I'm not aware of it. That's possible, because I haven't read all of that. But I would have leaned into the Earth thing and given it some kind of number, probably. But anyway, so we've got art for the covers, or at least character models of the first 3 books they're doing. So they're doing a Superman, a Batman, and a Wonder Woman. And everybody's been making fun of their Batman because his logo is bizarre and atrocious, DJ, and I don't know how anybody's going to take it seriously. This is what it looks like.
Wait. We're talking about Batman?
Yeah.
It's just a black bar.
It's a bar.
It's just
and
like it's like he had a Nike shirt on and they had to cover it up for the video because they couldn't pay Nike to sponsor.
Yeah, or just a big piece of duct tape.
Yeah, that's what they do. Wow.
Yeah, what is it? It's like he had a regular bat symbol and then he just slapped some electrical tape over it.
That's amazing.
What are you guys doing here? It's preposterous.
It's like they took.
I'm not sure who drew this. It looks like a Tim Sale drawing.
Well, it's like what people like about Batman Returns is the stocky look, and it's the big fat bat symbol. So we got to go even fatter,
to the point where it's not even a bat anymore. It's just a rectangle.
It's a rectangle with 2 nubs and a bottom nub.
You can't begin to tell me
minimalist
what the top and the bottom is supposed to be. Is it flipped upside down? You don't know. It's got, like, where are the wings on it? It's got notches on the top and the bottom. It's not a bat anymore. What are we doing? Wonder Woman looks better. I don't know what's going on with her arms. Like, are they tattoos? Is it just sleeves with an intricate design on them? I don't know. Maybe she's got tribal tattoos.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, being an Amazon, like, tribal tattoos might be okay. And then Superman once again seems to be missing his trunks unless they're in silhouette. I don't know about that.
He's got the Man of Steel like side oblique things.
Right, he's got that whole thing. He's got a big giant S, which I kind of like. And that S symbol is traditional enough. Like, that's fine. The sleeves are weird. I don't know what we're doing with that.
Batman definitely looks like Ultimate. I mean, he looks like Ultimate Cap, like stocky with this like weird like zippers.
It does feel like they're going that direction. Yeah. Okay, but then so you look at these designs, especially with Batman, and I go, okay.
Why is Batman like a bodybuilder or like a freaking strong man? He looks enormous.
And then, like, does he even have a cape, or like what are the wings that he's like holding them?
He's got like
That's impressive.
He's got sleeves like Joker from the Batman show.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, I always like tall ears, but that's about the only thing I like about that suit. Anyway, so I look at that and I go, okay, not a great start. If the stories are good, I'll give it a chance. And then we got the initial premises. And this just speaks for itself. I don't even feel like I have to say much about this. Are you ready, DJ?
No, I should always.
Immediately, I have zero interest in this. When I read this, like, I might give them a shot just if people want me to review them. But dude, like, this is what you did. Like, oh no. Okay, are you ready?
I can't wait.
Absolute Batman #1, and it's Scott Snyder on Batman again, because of course it is. Like, if you're gonna do the Ultimate thing, just bring in new blood. Bring in somebody that's never worked on the character before.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. Are you ready? Are you ready?
I can't wait. I'm on the edge of my rolly chair.
All right. Absolute Batman #1 releases October 9. This will introduce a version of the Dark Knight that doesn't have the money, mansion, or butler of his core line counterpart.
No butler.
Absolute Wonder Woman #1 by Kelly Thompson and Hayden Sherman, October 23. For Diana, There is no island paradise, no sisterhood to shape her, nor a mission of peace. So what is the purpose of an Amazon warrior in this new universe? Absolute Superman by Jason Aaron and Rafa Sandoval, November 6th. This Superman has no family, no fortress of solitude, and no home. Will he still stand for truth, justice, and a better tomorrow in this new universe? Why didn't you just call it the nothing verse? Your premise for all three of them is nothing.
Throw everything you know about the Trinity out the window because we're getting rid of all of it.
They got nothing.
That's such a stereotypical, like, lame, like, hook. It's just like, you know all this stuff you like about it? You know what was great about Ultimate Spider-Man? It was just Spider-Man. That was the premise. Like, hey, you remember when Spider-Man was good? We're going to do that again. We're just going to start over.
That was the whole idea. Yeah. Goofster says so they're just the characters in name only. Yeah, it's like Just Imagine by Stan Lee all over again.
That's basically what it is.
What are we doing? And like, or is the idea that all that stuff gets replaced by something new and interesting? And if so, throw some of that at me, because I'm not going to, especially when all of them have the same premise. Like when you do other Ultimate books, so is that your series Bible for this? Your universe Bible? This is what you have to do is, if you bring, Ultimate Firestorm, he's one guy and can't turn on fire. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's going to bring a new, and then, at the same time, there was an announcement today. I can't remember if it was Jim Lee or who brought it up, but they had a whole, I didn't watch it, but they had a whole like press thing where they talked about all of this and what they're doing in mainline, and they just very vaguely went, okay, and in the mainline universe we're gonna have kind of a start over thing with great jumping on points, and like, don't worry, we're not rebooting or retconning anything, it's just a bunch of really great jumping on points. I'm like, you guys just did your new big initiative that was Dawn of DC 9 months ago, or like a year ago.
So I'm already supposed to buy that a guy who has no superpowers can just skirt by because he has a bunch of money. Now he has no money? What is he?
What is he?
Does he have superpowers? Yeah, now he has nothing. He just has nothing but CrossFit and chains.
Darren, here's Green Lantern. He's got no lantern.
He's got no ring.
I mean, we can just go on and on, you know? You got, like, here's Lobo. He's got no motorcycle.
You guys know Martian Manhunter? Well, this one's not a Martian.
He's not even a Martian.
He doesn't hunt men.
He doesn't hunt men. He doesn't turn invisible. He doesn't do anything. I mean, I assume Superman still has superpowers. They didn't say he doesn't, but he's like, no fortress. I'm like, oh yeah, that's original. You know? Like, we've never had a Superman without a fortress before. Darren Root, Aquaman can't swim.
Aquaman, he's hydrophobic.
How the hell do you pitch this with a straight face? Like, how do you not put that out and know that the whole universe is going to make fun of you? This has to fall flat, right?
I have no idea.
Austin the Flash, he's got no legs. Yeah, it's going to be these characters without the at least
paraplegic Flash.
At least unlike Justice League, unlike Just Imagine, they at least have costumes that resemble their old costumes. Like, so you have something. Because they take everything else away from them. A more, this is not Ultimate, but like neither is this Absolute thing really, because like you said, the whole point of it was just like update, you know, and like you reimagine some things, but it still feels like classic enough where the reason Bendis's Ultimate Spider-Man works is because you could be a kid when that came out reading that and call yourself a Spider-Man fan just reading that, going like, this is my Spider-Man. It's still legitimately quintessential Spider-Man. It's what he's always been about, and all the major pieces are still there. If you don't have that, then it's just in Elseworlds again.
It's funny that this is coming up because I didn't show you the fifth one in the box, but it's Ultimate Spider-Man. It's the symbiote one, the purple.
Oh man, I want that. Stop showing me those figures.
It looks so good. I love the purple.
I love it. It's very pretty. But yeah, what would be more interesting with this premise would be if you just took the mainline characters and threw them, whether it's in a different universe or just like somewhere else on the planet, and took everything away from them. And, like, not that immediately would make me want to run out and buy the book, but, like, I don't really understand this premise. I guess it still depends on, like, what you replace all those things with. Like, does Batman just have nobody to talk to? It's like, we have no Alfred. Did you replace him with somebody, or is it just you just have Batman? Is he gonna have a sidekick? Like, do you do anything with him?
He has no butler. He doesn't have a house. He has a homeless. Maybe he has a homeless friend that he runs around with.
Well, they should have called it Homeless DC. It sounds like that's what it is, but I mean, you know, you could do a whole line where it's basically like you took an EMP to the powers and resources of all the heroes in the DC universe, and you go, they still have their costumes, but nothing else. They just have to deal with, like, their own ingenuity and resources. And
well, part of their costumes. He doesn't have his logo anymore.
Oh, that's true. They took that. Well, they didn't even take it away from him. It's worse than that. They covered it up. He can't pull it off. It's like, I know what's in there.
Oh, man. Well, people seem to be as flabbergasted and annoyed by all of this.
I'm not seeing one person.
Super chats.
I'm not seeing one person in the comments going, "What are you talking about? This sounds great."
Yeah.
Darren Root, Robin has living parents. Darren Root, Cyborg's just a normal person.
Cyborg, he's half man, half other man.
Hot Soup Joker, he's not a clown and he doesn't laugh. The last thing I wanted to mention real quick is there's apparently finally way too late. This comes from Deadline, a 24 movie in early development that may or may not even include Kiefer Sutherland. Like, we don't know anything about this yet. We just know that they've got some IPs left they haven't milked in a long time, and they're desperate for material. That's what's going on there. And don't get me wrong, there was a time where I was really excited about the notion of a 24 movie, but it was over a decade ago when people still cared about that show, and when Kiefer Sutherland wasn't written out of it. It was supposed to be their kind of big finale. They were going to do a big budget 2-hour movie that was going to be the big send-off for Jack Bauer in that universe, and we were finally going to get to see Jack Bauer in a, like, regular traditional movie where time could pass between scenes. And then in the last, so initially it's not in real time, but then when you get to the big climax at the end, the last half an hour, the clock starts, and the last half an hour of the movie is in real time. And I always loved that idea. I thought it sounded so cool. And it's too late to do it now. It's just too late. So I can't get excited about that. I will be more intrigued if Sutherland does sign on. Like, I'll definitely see it if that happens. And if they get anybody that worked on the original show.
Grace will love this. She loves that show. She might check it out.
She might feel the same way I do about it, though.
She might. I think they're also bringing back Dexter.
No, they did that.
I know, but I thought I heard something.
Oh, they're doing another one?
I thought so. Maybe I'm confusing something.
I think that miniseries did pretty well. I watched the first episode of it and was actually pleasantly surprised. But then I heard it falls off, and I don't know if that's true. So I didn't keep going with it. I keep forgetting about it.
That's another show that my wife really liked.
Okay,
growing up.
I said lots of Q&A, but then I talked too long about news. I don't remember how to do the show anymore. It's been a while. So DJ, why don't you throw some questions? I'll go as rapid fire as possible. And I forgot to mention, everybody, we had to move the Rewind Commentary project to tonight. So Austin and I and Jason's going to guest with us tonight because of the material we're doing. And this doesn't sound like a superhero movie, but I watched it finally, and it is shockingly. We're watching Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, and we're going to have Jason there because he's kind of a Michael Jackson expert, and he's going to help us fill time, which we're desperately going to need on that. But it's an hour and a half. It's not too long. We're going to start right after this program. And so probably, I don't know, around 9:30 Central, depending on how long it takes us to finish up here. Anyway, just want to throw that out there. And I haven't gotten a ton of super chats yet, but I'll just mention in case people want to throw some more in. Again, I'll go as rapid fire as possible. Top super chatter tonight gets to pick a superhero show for me to do a blind commentary on, a watch party at the beginning of the week, Sunday or Monday. I'll do a couple hours on whatever superhero show you want me to do. Live action, animation, as long as I can get my hands on it.
Yeah. Smutali's putting in some super chats. This is one of his. Will Alexi ever come back to the channel?
Sorry, that wasn't loud enough. I'm sure he will. I talked to Alexi, I don't know, about a month ago. We still keep in touch. For those of you that don't know, Alexi's been on the channel a few times. He's a publicist friend of mine who works in the book publishing industry, and he is one of the most opinionated people I know, and he knows a lot about science fiction and literature, and he's a lot of fun to have on. But yeah, it's been a while. I'll try to bring him back for something.
All right, second one from Utali. Is Captain Logan a mantle? Great.
The short answer is could be. I did give Mikey my middle name. So Mikey could be the second Captain Logan legitimately the same way I did it, because my real middle name is Logan. And if Mikey grew up and wanted to call himself Captain Logan, he would come by it honestly. So we could have a Captain Logan Jr. if he decided to do something similar to what I do with it. But he'd be the only one that could do it.
That's pretty that'd be great. You have to wait and see. Wait for the Superhero Rewind movie to find out.
Well, don't say that.
Another one from Utali. Which MCU weapon has the better sound effects? Iron Man's repulsors, Cap's shield, or Mjolnir? Also, what would you and DJ do if you owned an island?
Ooh.
Wait, do we own this island together? It sounds, from the way you said that, it says he said if you owned an island.
You know what? That's fun. Let's put our heads together and compromise on what to do with an island. I will together that we own and can sell tickets to. I'm going to assume, DJ, that you don't want to get some tree sap and try to remake dinosaurs and put a theme park on our island. I would assume you don't want to do that.
Well, that never seems to work out. There's always a lovely little British family relaxing on the beach on holiday that gets eaten by tiny dinosaurs.
Yeah, or mercenaries that try to steal all your dinosaurs. I'm going to suggest we make a real-life DK island. And we make it an island where you can
ride
run around
ostriches,
and
ride
shoot
rhinos
through barrels and swing on vines.
Oh, riding in dangerous mine carts! It sounds amazing.
Yeah, and you can go into pirate ships and fight giant crocodile men,
or tiny little mouser robot-looking croc things or these big. What are those big, like, brown ones that go? Oh,
yeah, they go. They're those are Kronks, I think they're called.
I would love that. Like I would absolutely love an actual DK like world at Universal Studios. Like those screen rides, a minecart ride is perfect for those screen rides. Like,
I think Nintendo World is doing some of that though.
Oh, I would love the Treehouse World. Like,
yep. That would be the big thing that would make me go. Don't quote me on that. I think I saw pictures of some Donkey Kong Country stuff in their Nintendo World. I don't know if that's right though. I think so.
That would be so.
Because remember, it's not Mario World; it's Super Nintendo World. So it's other properties, not just Mario.
Yeah, it's in Japan though, right? So we'll never get to.
No, they built one here.
Oh really?
Yeah,
wow.
I think it's open.
I haven't been to Universal Studios in forever. I haven't even been since they added the Pixar World.
Yeah. There's a Pixar World?
Yeah. There's a few. It's a few rides. I mean, the worlds are pretty small. They've got just a few things in each one, but I would like to go.
I went in Florida, but I don't remember anything about. I mean, there's two sections, but
yeah. I think it was pretty recent. I think it was after they added all the Star Wars stuff.
Oh, weird. Okay, interesting. What was the first part of that though? We went to the island question immediately. Are you with me though? Could we build DK Island? Or do you have a better island idea?
Oh, I'm actually thinking of Disney when I say Pixar, duh, because it's Disney.
That's what I was a little confused about that, but yeah.
Yeah. But I haven't been to Universal in a long time either. I mean, what would we? I'm trying to think of something that we both like. That's probably the most niche thing.
Oh, Lost. Lost would be
make a Lost Island.
Just every now and again, somebody gets eaten by the smoke monster.
Just kidnapping people, like What are we doing? We have to make money somehow. We can't just murder people.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll just
Polar bears.
we'll do our own actual Dharma initiative, and we'll just get a bunch of people to work for us.
There you go. That's the coolest part. I like that. That's a crazy question. What would we do if we owned an island? Like realistically, would be very boring.
We gotta move on.
It's like a real estate.
What was the first part of that question again?
The first part was which MCU weapon has the best sound effects?
Yeah, I gotta tell you,
big three.
And they go hard on those sound effects, man. Yeah, like and they're all iconic. Like they did a really great job with all three of those, just making them memorable, and they really even Captain America's shield, like that's a distinct sound. It sticks with you. That's actually a pretty cool question. I'm gonna go with the repulsor blast just because I think of the three, that's the most iconic sound.
Yeah, the other ones are just kind of like random metal noise, but like
I still think they're pretty distinct though.
Well, the shield is distinct in my brain because YouTube played the stupid Falcon and Winter Soldier trailer 7 billion times, and it opens with the shield going into the tree, and then Sam pulling it out. So I've heard that so many times. But yeah, the repulsors are, I'd say they're the most iconic.
Oh, Austin says the Florida one has it. They must have put that in just after when I went there a couple of years ago. So yeah, I'll have to go back. We actually could have gone to Florida this year because Jason had his dance studio had another dance competition there, but it was optional, and we had so many trips this year we ended up skipping it. But we'll go in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then we'll go there, and then I'll tell you if they have Donkey Kong Country.
Oh, I'll go with you. I'll sneak in your backpack.
Let's go. Then we'll get ideas for what to do with our own island. Anyway.
Yeah, let's get right on that. That'll go great. All right. We're getting some super chats coming in. So we got one from Matthew.
Thanks, guys.
Matthew Bass. Thoughts on my adventures with Superman?
I'm going to do some material on that in the not too distant future, so I don't want to talk too much about it beyond what I've said already in the community tab. But I went from lackluster, like it's fine. I couldn't get excited about it. I didn't love the color palette. I didn't love how anime inspired it is initially with the pilot, and then I finally went back and watched the second episode, and I immediately was more won over on it because I was very intrigued by what they seem to be doing with their Krypton, and just the image of a Jor-El with an eye patch that's in the shape of the Superman crest. That by itself really got me. I'm like, oh, they're really reinventing stuff and trying some new things. I've gone from lukewarm to really hooked on it. I love it. I think it's quite good. And there's one more episode that's going to air on Sunday. John and I talked about doing a watch party tomorrow night for that show, and then we decided we better let the second season finish out so we don't just spend the whole time speculating about what's going to be in that last episode. So I'm almost caught up. One more has dropped that I've not watched yet. But all I'll say about it so far is like all the stuff they're reinventing with Krypton is really intriguing and new and fresh, and I'm trying to decide what I want to say without spoiling stuff. I think most people know about this, so minor spoiler. I hope people don't mind me bringing this up, but their Supergirl is spectacular. I love her so much. And she's got a lot in common with my favorite version with New 52, which, by the way, we're reviewing some of that tomorrow night on stream, John and I. But they go back to the Rage place with her, but it comes from a different place. And the best way I can describe that show, and the romance is fantastic. We start with a Clark and Lois, where Lois falls in love with Clark and not Superman initially. It's great, and it goes to places I did not expect much faster than I would have expected them. The color palette and the character models and everything, I warmed up to a lot faster than I thought I would, and I'm not minding how anime-esque it is. The writing just overall is really good. There's stuff I don't like, don't get me wrong, and I'll get to that when I full-on review it, and when we do commentaries and stuff. Some of the reinventions of villains I think are a little bit weak, and I'm not loving how tech-centered some of it is, but I just love how you get blindsided every now and again by a really major supporting character or villain that you didn't expect to come up. It's like, oh, that's how they're doing that? okay. And usually it's really cool and interesting. But yeah, the romance is fantastic, and I don't know. I don't want to say too much, but yeah, I'm loving it. It's great. I got really hooked on it. I watched a bunch of it on vacation.
That's cool. Glad you're liking animation right now.
Yeah, I think you'd probably like it.
Well, we got one more super chat from at the moment from Mutale, and this puts him in the lead.
I just remember the thing I started to say. The best way I can describe that show is it is Superman reacting to the way the TV show Invincible is reimagining Superman as a scary idea.
Oh. Kind of pushing back at like the boys and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting the way it handles that.
That's pretty cool. All right, so Mutale has one for 35 South African Rand. That puts him over the top. I'm doing conversions on the fly over here.
Good job.
So that puts him in the lead. And he says, if Stan Lee got to cameo in the Netflix Marvel shows, what should his cameos have been? Oh, man, I've only watched two of those shows. WandaVision would have been fun.
DJ is quite a veteran at this point. He can just do conversions on the fly.
I think
other countries' monetary denominations.
Oh no, I can't. I'm actually just watching. I'm using Google.
No, don't say that. Don't say that. We'd never know. We never know. I almost bought it.
But yeah, I think there could have been a really cool one in WandaVision if he were still alive. Like that, he could have done something in like the kind of 60s time period.
Yes,
really
I would have. Yeah, I would have made Stan Lee the neighbor that is hidden by like a fence or something where you never see his face.
Yeah, but he's got such a recognizable voice.
Yeah, but you can tell it's still a Stan Lee cameo, but you don't see his face. Like the joke is we always show his face. This time it's a sitcom character. You're not going to show his face.
And then the only other one I watched was Hawkeye, so put him in the dumb LARPing scene. That was stupid anyway. He's just one of the guys. Oh, I just hit my mic.
He's the only person standing up on the clock tower when Kate accidentally like shoots an arrow at it and explodes it, and he dies.
And it's the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, and he falls off and he dies.
He's the Kingpin. Just let him play the Kingpin.
Just let him play the Kingpin.
He'll be just as effective, and have just as much of a point.
He's got a Hawaiian shirt. Matali says Netflix Marvel, not Disney Marvel.
I was just going with fun.
I was just going with what you said. Yeah. Well, I don't know.
He was in Daredevil on a poster on the wall.
I would have him get killed in or was it Luke Cage? I can't remember. I would have him get killed in every show.
That's his thing.
Like Frank Miller was in the Daredevil movie. Yeah, I do that. No, I'm kidding. If he's
the guy who gets killed with the ice cream spoon.
It might have been cool if we did kind of a Turk thing with him where his cameo finally is the same character weaved into those shows, but you only get it once per show. So like, I don't know who, but it's the same character, but it's still a regular Stan Lee cameo where he's only there for a few seconds to have like one line.
I think he should replace Rosario Dawson as the
the
night nurse.
Or like he runs the hospital.
Yeah. Or he's night nurse's boss. I haven't watched the Netflix Marvel shows in ages. So
yeah, I haven't either.
It's hard for me to pick a specific place to put him.
Yeah, I don't know. He works as Jessica Jones' secretary for 5 seconds, and then she fires him. Okay, what else do we have, DJ?
The next one, also from Mutale. So he's securing his lead here by a little bit. Would you rather control rats like Ratcatcher or control ants like Ant-Man?
Or the Rat King. Don't forget about the Rat King.
Also, do you think we will see Caesar's descendants in future ape sequels? Ants.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, the whole thing with... I'll answer that first. The whole thing with Caesar's descendants is... Would they even know for sure that many generations later, like how related they are to him? I wonder about that. but maybe because don't they do it? I mean, I only saw that last one once, but don't they do a whole thing with that where I'm trying to remember if the bad guy ape in that is pretending like he's a direct descendant or if he's just twisting the philosophies of Caesar. I can't remember right now. Would you rather control rats like Ratcatcher or ants like Ant-Man? I think I'm less repulsed by ants than I am rats.
I think you get less diseases from ants.
That's true too. If you're just talking about it on like a sanitary, practical front.
They're both about as useless of a power as I could think of. I don't know what I would do with either of them. That would be a power that I would just never use.
Rats are a little bigger, so like I feel like there's maybe a little bit more application potentially with rats if you just want to, I don't know, use them to freak people out or push something out of the way. I don't know.
Be good for YouTube pranks, I guess.
Yeah, I would have no interest in that power.
That's a pretty lame power. If that was just Ant-Man's power, like if he couldn't grow and shrink, I don't think he would have lasted.
Dan said he has no direct connection to Caesar's line. I didn't think so, but I couldn't remember for sure.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
Well,
I haven't been to the theater in a long time.
I'm sure you'll be disappointed with it because I'm absolutely the only person that seemed to be like really really happy with it.
You've been having that a lot lately.
I'm kind of afraid to go see it again. Well, okay. The difference is people were lukewarm on the last Planet of the Apes before they just thought it was awful. No, people hated the Marvels.
But not you, man. You're holding strong.
I saw it twice and still was kind of okay with it. I don't know. I'm not saying it's great. I just sort of enjoyed it. Not in the face. Not in the face.
Keep the tomatoes.
You like what you like. I don't know.
I support liking what you like.
Mutele says Ratcatcher was able to kill Starro with them. Yeah, I forgot about that. I wasn't even thinking about that Ratcatcher. Yeah, that's true. Well, good for her. I still don't want to be followed around by rats or deal with rats. I don't know. That sounds gross. Hey, we've got 7 minutes left in the program. We only got one question from Patreon that I saw. We could go ahead and answer that real quick.
Yeah, sure.
If DJ wants to bring that up. And quick plug for Patreon. Just the $2 tier lets you ask me questions ahead of time on the show. If you want to make sure that you get in a topic or a question, if you can't be here or if you don't want to leave super chats, but you want to make sure that I read something. But yeah, I put that out yesterday. And so far, we just got a question from Bag. So people still have time for the rest of the month to throw in more things. So go on Patreon and do that.
All right, speaking of Patreon, we're going to Justin Hayes. How does Starfleet holding Berlinghoff Rasmussen...
Hey, you got it right. Well done, sir.
...prisoner not screw up time? Is there a random abandoned time machine floating around in the 22nd century now?
Okay, yeah, that's interesting, because... So, end of A Matter of Time, which is my absolute favorite Star Trek The Next Generation episode. Berlinghoff Rasmussen. So quick premise with that, DJ. So you're caught up. Berlinghoff Rasmussen is a con man from the 22nd century who somehow manages to steal a time machine from a time traveler who comes back from the 26th century, and he takes that time machine and goes to the future, steals future tech, goes back to the 22nd century and pretends to invent things based on the technology that he steals. So he goes to the Enterprise and he pretends like he is a future historian, and he gives everybody surveys and tries to get information from them, and then he goes around the ship and quietly steals things to take back with him, and he gets caught, and then at the end, Picard arrests him, and his ship disappears because it's on a timer and gets sent back to either the past or wherever it came from. And yeah, Bag's right about that. The assumption would be that it goes back to the 22nd century because it's set probably to return him home. So here's the thing. I wouldn't think that would necessarily monkey with the timeline too much. Any more than Rasmussen already has. It's interesting because you're already in an alternate timeline because he's messed with time. So you don't know what the original timeline would have been like. But if the ship goes back and he had it programmed because he got the imprint or the key or whatever it was, I can't remember, from that original time traveler. If he's not in that ship, nobody else can open it. So if that ship goes back in time, it would just be a big gray box that would look futuristic, but nobody would know what it was, and they wouldn't be able to get in it. And so it probably wouldn't have that big of an impact on the timeline if nobody was ever able to get in it. Like, the biggest thing that would probably happen is just it gets picked up by the government and goes to, like, an Area 51 type place, and they never get in it, and then they can't do anything with it. But you got me thinking with that bag about the timeline and possibly paving over, and something I'd never thought about with A Matter of Time, which is if Berlinghoff Rasmussen has... Well, no, I think it actually still works out. I was going to say, if he's ever actually invented or pretended to invent anything with future tech he stole, then the timeline would be changed by the fact that he didn't go back and do that, because that would have increased your technological progression earlier than it's supposed to. So you would actually be kind of resetting the timeline back. But I think he says that he was going to do that. That was his big plan. I don't think he's gotten it started yet. So I think that's their way out of creating any kind of time paradoxes or anything with that. What's interesting is then Star Trek Voyager actually kind of did that plot for real with a character called Henry Starling, who's basically their version, and this is in 1996, their version of, why can't I think of people's names right? Bill Gates. Because he has a computer tech company and is filthy rich like Bill Gates, and he got his technology from a time traveler from the future. So in Star Trek canon, that is already how you got the progression of at least computer technology in the 90s, the way we had it, except with a guy named Henry Starling and not Bill Gates or not Microsoft or Apple. Not Steve Jobs or anybody.
Wow.
So anyway, yeah, I had not thought about that.
Well, there you go. See, Patreon coming through with questions.
Thanks, man. But no, I think they actually cover their bases with the paradox there. I think that works out.
Well,
it works out at least as well as like First Contact, where we go back in time and kill some people that didn't die the first time around, but somehow it doesn't affect the future in any way whatsoever. Yeah, I buy that.
Well, it looks like as of now, Vitali's going to clinch it with $7.
Are we caught up? Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
27 cents. If anyone wants to steal the title from him, there you go. There's your goal. Should I read a pre-written?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do a pre-written real quick. We're right at about 2 hours, and I've still got to do the rewind commentary tonight. So We'll just say last call. If anybody wants to throw in another one real fast, feel free. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and close up shop after we hear this last question. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Jareth Gearhart was the first one that I saw in the chat today. Hey, Cap, do you think an animated series or movie could work for a Marvel Capcom crossover?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, anything's possible. It'd be real gimmicky out the gate, and I can think of lots of other things I would maybe want to see before that. Like, if you were gonna do a video game fighting game, I would much rather some like original stuff without crossovers that we've never really had, or at least that we haven't made here. Like, it'd be really cool to get, like a Killer Instinct animated series or a Tekken animated series, or, some fighting game franchises have had animes, but it would be fun if we made some stuff like that. And I guess this technically kind of was an anime, but I think it was American made. But this isn't a fighting game. Like, you had Castlevania on Netflix. I'd love to see that for some other like retro franchises I really like, and including fighting games.
Yeah, Tekken could be cool, or any of those could be cool, because you could do like each episode could focus on one of the, it could be like Lost, where you focus on one of the characters' backstories and then culminates, so you care about each character by the tournament.
That's sort of how the Virtua Fighter anime did it.
Oh. Well, there you go.
which is finally on Blu-ray now, which is very exciting because for the longest time you could stream half of it with subtitles, but the rest of it didn't have them.
Oh, weird.
So I've never seen the back end of that show, but yeah. So I'm gonna get. I wonder if it's got dubs and if they're any good. I keep meaning to buy that. I digress. That's of course a thing I'd love to see, like a 3D animated show for, but that's never gonna happen because nobody here cares about that anymore. But
Yeah, I wouldn't want a Marvel Capcom crossover because for the same reason I don't want like Secret Wars, because it's like you have 15 protagonists just standing around for the entire miniseries because you got too much main character energy and nothing for them to do because it's too many people in there.
yeah, that's a great point. Like the whole novelty of it would be because you obviously they'd be looking at 2 more than anything, so they'd go, we got to have this roster of 60 characters, all in this TV show or movie or whatever it is we make. And I'm not against crossovers, particularly in like animated movies as a rule, but I'm with DJ. It's cooler if you have a smaller cast. Like before that, could we do like a Batman Predator animated movie? That'd be wonderful. Those comics are great. Of course, everybody knows I love Batman and Ninja Turtles. Part of the reason that works is because there's not too many characters.
Mm-hmm. It's just Batman and Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, it works. I mean, you know, you've got a lot of rogues, but
yeah. Well, we've done it.
Hot Soup, Dead or Alive animated series. I don't think you can make that now.
Cap and I still got to do a
You could make it
Dead or Alive movie.
You could make it in Japan. I don't think you could make that here. Oh, I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah, that was how the whole like video game mania started. Was I was jokingly like we should do all the terrible fighting game movies like Chun-Li and Dead or Alive, and then you blew it up into this massive project that
we'd never finished.
Every video game ever. But I would love to watch Dead or Alive with you, or that because it's got like all the Smallville girls got their own. Like,
yeah, that's right.
Because Lana went on to do her
Kristen Kirk was Chun-Li
movie, and then Clark's girlfriend Alicia was the star of like that Dead or Alive movie.
Really? That's who that was?
Yeah, the blonde
Alicia.
girl. Who like he runs off with Red Kryptonite?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
No, she's in 3 episodes.
Yeah, she had a little arc.
Speaking of that, John and I are finally going to bring Smallville back in the not too distant future because the baby is a little bit older now and I can possibly do longer streams on a Saturday now. So we're going to try to do that probably next month or the month after. Bringing that back. So lots of things in the works. We're cooking up stuff.
Sarah Carter is that actress's name.
Oh yeah, that's right.
She plays Helena Douglas in the DOA movie.
I would not have come up with that off the top of my head. So do they get ultra scantily clad in that? Like, do they do that whole thing?
Oh, I'm sure. Is it?
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, I thought you meant you saw it.
I just know of it. I've seen like clips, I think, but yeah, it's PG-13 for pervasive martial arts and action violence, some sexuality and nudity.
We'll do some more video game movies at some point. It was hard to commit to that especially when I decided to do the commentary project.
Oh yeah,
and there wasn't a lot of interest. So it's hard to prioritize it, but I don't know. It was fun when we were doing it. And we had this great running gag where Brandon always showed up to them and he knows nothing about video games. I think we did 6 or 7 of those. He was on all of them.
And he was always impressed when those credits came at the beginning.
That's right. I'll never let him live that down.
So unique.
All right. Well, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed tonight's edition of the Captain Logan Show. We'll be back again next Thursday. We're going to try to keep it at the old 7 o'clock time slot and go for a couple hours if there's enough material to talk about that long. And apologies for the long opening topics tonight, but we had a bunch of news to cover, and apparently I had things to say. I hope it was half interesting. I will be back here in probably about 15 minutes or so with Austin and Jason for Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. The only way to watch that, well, I think somebody's got a digital remaster on YouTube. I actually haven't looked at that one. I rented it on Amazon just for a couple of bucks. So a couple different ways possibly to look at that. It's very trippy. It's very weird. It's basically a concert slash music video movie that sort of turns into a narrative in the last 45 minutes. It's very wild, but it does degenerate into a superhero movie, or maybe it evolves into a superhero movie, because it starts to get like nearly what's the what I'm looking for, coherent. It is not coherent before then, but we're gonna watch all of it. We're not just gonna start at the coherent part.
My favorite musician weird trippy movie is the Yellow Submarine movie. That's great.
Yeah, and that clearly is influencing Moonwalker. I had a lot of flashbacks to Yellow Submarine. I can't watch that movie anymore. It just gives me a headache. I can't look at Yellow Submarine.
It's lovely. But good luck with that one. I'm glad you guys are doing that. Should be fun.
Yeah, hopefully so. I don't yet entirely know what I'm gonna say in that with that, but I've got a few points. It's not gonna be a lot of narrative analysis. I'll tell you that much. Sorry, what?
I just said don't make those few points you have too early. Just pepper them out.
Boy, I make that mistake all the time. I'll jump the gun and I'll get it all out before we've even started the clock, and then it's like, oh, we have to watch this movie now. Why did I just give a speech? All right, well, thanks again for watching, guys. We sure appreciate it. We'll see you again next week, and I've got lots more stuff coming for you before that, so I hope to see you some night on a stream. I was Captain Logan. This was DJ Martinez. Bye, guys.
Oh, always a pleasure.